got a lot of flack for losing the integrity of the Broadway production. What was the feeling from the cast during the production of the film?
Of the movie?
Yes.
I think the only flack that, as far as, when I say integrity, I don't mean like the exact letter of every word, although that's great if you can, do that. But because in the film, there's a huge challenge, which is, how do you ever adapt a musical onto film and make it make sense that people are singing and walking down the street? And so we made the choice to actually just commit to that reality, that in our reality of that movie, Angel and Collins walk down the street and sing "I'll Cover You" together. That was the commitment we made. So we felt good about that aspect of maintaining the integrity of the spirit of the show. And there were some sacrifices that were made that were, we had sort of mixed feelings about, but it is a different medium, and there were, I always had questions, like, if you were to attempt to put Christmas bells on film, when you have a play, it's a representation of a homeless person singing. When you have it on film, it becomes less representational and more real, and it just, the ironic aspect of having homeless people sing gets a little, I feel like it gets into starts to cross a line. It makes, Little Shop of Horrors can do it because it's more heightened, almost cartoonish. When in the world of the movie that we were making, if you had homeless people singing, it might start to feel a little like, that doesn't really jive with the real world in a certain way, that would feel, or cops singing, you know what I mean? So that was partly why that song wasn't in the movie, but I know that there are people who would love for the whole show to be on film, and I totally understand and respect that. But we did feel very good about, for the most part, how we always we felt respected by Chris Columbus, our director, and we felt like we had input into making sure that as much as possible the story was being told as truthfully as possible and as much connected to everything that was the reasons why Jonathan wrote those things in the first place. So, I know that the film is certainly not perfect, but I also am very proud of the fact that, in one day that the film was released, maybe 1 million people saw it. It would take it being open on Broadway, selling out every performance, at least 2 years for 1 million people to see it. So the fact that it's reaching so many people, and they are, getting to know this music and this world and these characters, it's actually bringing a lot of people to see the play. I mean, I don't know how many people out in this audience saw the film first before you ever saw the play. I think that, when we were on tour, we discovered that was very often the case, and so that's encouraging more and more people to, be acquainted with this work in the first place. So, it's not perfect, but I feel like it also does a lot of justice and has, created some important opportunities for people to know it that they might not have otherwise had that chance.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Has there ever been, or do you anticipate, will there ever be a moment where you're like, okay, enough with the rent already?
I can't imagine it. I mean, honestly, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me personally. It's probably the greatest thing that's happened to a lot of people.
Us too.
And, I had the amazing good fortune of working with an original cast member from A Chorus Line, Kelly Bishop, and it was, I feel like there's like a kind of kinship there, and I remember I was only 14 when I worked with her, so it was, years before Rent happened, but whenever we would talk about A Chorus Line, I could just see the pride and the ownership and the affection, and how, there was no sense that she was burdened by that, by being identified with that. It was an honor. And that made a big impression on me, and I feel very much the same. I think all of us in the original cast feel the same. And I think, also most people who've ever been a part of it. I mean, maybe some people have done Rent and been like, F that show, man. I don't think so. I know, this is Iowa, though. I'm from the neighboring states. I understand. It's okay. I have affection. My brother went to Clark and Dubuque. He went to Clark. I know.
There was a question, yeah.
If you had to pick a favorite song out of Rent, what would it be? Your absolute favorite song?
To sing, or to like. I mean, it's
just like the words and how the one that makes you feel the most.
It's really hard to isolate to one, but I would say the song to me that epitomizes the whole piece the most powerfully for me is the reprise of "I'll Cover You." with everything coming together. As I've gotten older and lived sort of more life, Finale B has also become more powerful for me as I've continued to live the weaving in of both the idea of No Day But Today with I Die Without You, that both things are true and both things always are true together. That feels more and more true to me the longer I live, too, so that's very powerful. And in terms of performing what you wrote, there's sort of nothing to get into that. And on the most recent tour, I always loved and enjoyed Love You One, but we had an especially great time with it, with our cast on the tour, so that was also even more of a highlight in recent history than it even had been before of us doing it back in the day. So that's a lot of them. I mean, it really is all of it, you know, if I could talk about each and every one of them.
Lovely. So why did you decide to come to Cedar Rapids?
When?
Why?
Why did I say? Well, honestly, I had met, as she explained, it was hard for me honestly to hear every word from backstage. It was like I couldn't literally hear every single word, so if I'm, you know. But I heard that she was telling something of the story of when we met. So that was of interest to me, and she told me the story of the theater, which was, you know, very sad, but it was also exciting. It was, I mean, this community, I don't know exactly how it happened, but to be able to restore this beautiful theater that says so much about your community, that you have that commitment to this theater and to the arts in itself, that's amazing. And then we had a community theater in Joliet. It wasn't like this. So that was part of it, but also because I, you know, through my friendship with Catherine, you know, having a personal connection helped. I mean, I have been invited to other productions, and I have, when friends have been involved in them, I had a friend who was a teacher in high school in Cincinnati, and I went out there and saw their high school production. It was very exciting to see, you know, a 14-year-old playing Angel and having the time of his life. So, you know, so I'm happy to when it can work out, and in this case the timing was good and everything was good, so I'm very happy to. And, you know, it's, I don't know, I've always considered part of something of a responsibility to this, responsibility, that sounds almost like it's like, have to. I don't mean that I have to, but it's not an obligation, it's a responsibility, so yeah, I'll use that word because it's the appropriate word, but to the legacy of Jonathan Larson, and I'm very close with his family, so it's just nice to be able to feel some continuity to the fact that the show exists in the world in many, many places. It's getting done all over by high schools, by colleges, by community theaters like this. And you know, overseas, it's being done all over the world, and that's amazing to be able to be a part of it. I got to go to Argentina a couple of years ago and see it down there. I mean, it sort of renews my soul every time in a little way, you know, when I see it too. So it's selfish too. I like it. You know.